Blindish Latina YouTube channel. We are continuing our series on my trip with Accessible Switzerland, Claire and George. Thank you so much to them for hosting me and bringing me to Switzerland for an incredible trip to see the country, learn about what they're doing to make accessible travel possible for people like me, a deafblind traveler.
Hi, my name is Suzanne Goeman. I'm the director of Claire and George, Accessible Switzerland, and we are specializing in accessible travel in Switzerland. We've done this for about 10 years, and we are welcoming all guests regardless of age or ability to visit our country, and we want to show our guests how to travel by train, how to travel by boat, tram, bus, or if you need or if you want it, doing private tours with our local guides. And I'm with Catarina today, and we invited her to come visit Switzerland, and we did some guided tours, self-guided tours prepared for her, and we're just having a fantastic time.
So this is part 2. We are continuing our journey where we're leaving Bern and we are now taking a train to a smaller town called Morges. And I'm not going to be pronouncing everything 100% accurately. I'm doing my best. It was a very cute town. We have a pass that allows us to hop on and off any train we want all around the country, which is really, really cool. And the trains leave on time. They are accessible. They have digital displays telling you the stops. It's really easy and convenient. So when we got to the town, we checked into our hotel and we had lunch at the Nautical Club by the water. And every town or city that we went to on this trip had water, which was awesome. Way to go, Accessible Switzerland. You picked the best spot. So I believe this was Lake Geneva, Lac Lemon in French. It has 2 different names, which was confusing at first, but then we realized, okay, it's the same lake. It had a more of a higher end food experience. We had some gourmet meals and we enjoyed just looking at the water view. There was a big anchor there. I started to take some pictures. We walked along the lake and we met some locals who are involved in the Fête du Dahlia. It is a dahlia party that happens for a period of months where they have planted so many dahlia bulbs along the lake. I did not realize that dahlias can grow really tall. They are tall and beautiful and different colors, and they have different shapes and formations. So we learn about what they're doing every year, how fun they make it, because they are hosting events and doing activities for the community. And they're also beautifying, and it's a team of volunteers that is involved.
At the Fête du Dahlia. This is celebrating the dahlia flowers, and I'm about to touch this beautiful one. So many layers, and it has a little bit of water in it, like it's captured the rain. It's so heavy too. Wow.
So that was really interesting to learn about and fun. Now I'm like, okay, I have to start thinking about dahlias when I'm asked about my favorite flowers, because we saw some really beautiful ones. And the lake, kind of just that path by the lake, was a place where people were walking and recreating. And I did see some disabled people out and about. Woohoo! It really shows me that, okay, a place is accessible and disabled people are more integrated into society. After we finished with the dahlias, we went to the chateau. And this is a large historical building with an outdoor green area that has multiple museums inside. We went to one museum that focused on the legacy of Paderewski, but he is a very famous pianist and composer. He was originally from Poland, but had a very close connection with Switzerland, bought a house in Switzerland, spent time there, also spent time in the United States, also got involved in politics. This was really interesting to learn about his life. He took like a 5-year break from performing and being involved in music to be involved in Poland and the international scale, trying to keep Poland as its own independent country. So they had headphones where you could listen to audio or listen to music. They had, I think, a big head of his that you could touch. They had a few like tactile elements. So we enjoyed learning and experiencing also an exhibit that's focused. That's great for me. Get in, learn about something, get out. Not overwhelming. After that, I had a lovely tea moment. You have to have afternoon tea. That's how I feel. I just feel so much happier when I can have my afternoon tea moment. And this was at Le Boîte à Thé. And I actually got to hang out with the founder of Accessible Switzerland, Suzanne. Accessible Switzerland is their name on Instagram, but the company name is called Claire and George. So that's why you'll hear me say both of those. So Suzanne and I got to sit and hang out and talk business owner to business owner. I had a matcha latte. I also had a dark chocolate cookie. Amazing. The shop is very serious about tea. Like, they have loose leaf. They have an incredible selection. They had a big focus on Japanese teas. I'm thinking about that place. I wish I could go back. It's not fair that I only got to go one time, but it was really lovely and fun. And then after this lovely tea moment, I had dinner with my partner and we went to a Peruvian restaurant in Switzerland. Yes. It was called Guanaco. I got a bunch of vegetarian dishes, a calza. I don't know, maybe I only got one thing. But it was delicious and fun, and we got to speak in Spanish to the server, the people that worked there. So that was a very nice day. The next day, then we took a day trip, which was gorgeous. Even though it was kind of a cloudy, misty day and it rained a little bit, we had the best time.
We are on a panoramic train today, checking out a different city nearby. And I am horrible at pronouncing the names, but I will try. Château-d'Oex. Along the way, we're getting some views of Lake Geneva and just enjoying the ride.
We took the train again because it's so easy, and this is an elevation, it's higher up. So you have around you, even though you're already high, there's higher points around the city that are beautiful to look at.
It might not look very bright, but to me, it's still too bright. So I'm wearing my sunglasses on what looks like a pretty gloomy day, which I think might surprise some people about blindness, how light sensitive we can be.
We walked around and looked at the architecture because they have a lot of wooden buildings and houses that are kind of older style. So that was lovely.
There are some buildings too painted different colors. It's really beautiful. And then you have the hills and the nature surrounding us. They might even be considered mountains.
Another thing we did that was a fun nature moment is that we went on a bridge that I found online. I was like, oh, we have to go check out this bridge. It was over a body of water, like a little river with rocks, that it had a nice current. It was making a really peaceful noise just listening to the water go. And the bridge was long enough to give a little bit of, it was a little bit of a courage moment because it moves when you're walking on it. So I'm glad we got to do that. And it's not far from town. If you notice that a lot of the things I'm saying sound kind of French, it's because if you don't know this, Switzerland, there are multiple languages being spoken there in different regions. So you have German and French as the main languages. And then there is also a region where Italian is spoken. So when you look at what people speak in the country, they are speaking so many languages because a lot of them also speak English on top of that. So that was really cool. We went to a fromagerie for lunch. They had a store, they had a demonstration with a man making cheese in a big cauldron, and I got to stir it. I did a very good job, I'm sure. But I had to give my cane away. I was like, hold this, I gotta stir and put, because he wanted me to do a better job. He told me you gotta stir it more. I was kind of doing pretty stirring in the beginning. With someone else got the cheese in the mesh cheesecloth and brought it over to a mold. He didn't pick me to do that with him. That was good. I wouldn't be good at that task. We just thought, and he was so entertaining. I had a fondue with mushrooms in it, and my partner ordered a fondue that had a pepper in it. And we didn't know if the pepper was going to be what you dipped in the fondue or was in the fondue. But no, it was in the fondue, so it came with a reddish kind of color. Delicious, flavorful, and the cheese was organic. Oh, I love that. Biologic, ecologic. That was delicious. We also got to learn about culture because one of the things that they're known for in that region is paper cutting. And I'm so glad we went to the museum because now I know what it is. I wish I could see someone do it live, but I think we pretty much have an understanding that you fold the paper in multiple sections and then cutting out like designs with small scissors. So this was something that we were able to observe and then displayed as artwork. We saw older style ones and more modern ones, and the museum gave us that kind of insight. We're here at a museum that is all about preserving the history of the people in this region. And one of the things that is a tradition here is paper cutting. It is so intricate. I've loved seeing the contemporary paper cutting artwork and the historical ones. These are examples of the scissors that people use for paper cutting or découpage. They're very small and they have a point and very pointy, super delicate. And we also visited another museum that focused on hot air ballooning, which we really wanted to do. The weather did not cooperate, but at least we went to the museum. We did the simulation. We also talked to someone who is an expert in the hot air ballooning, explaining things to us. We saw some exhibits and we learned about something very cool. From there, they have two people that went around the world in a hot air balloon. Now, when you look at the actual construction of what they went around it, it's not a basket. It's not the open basket that you might see in the movies or on Instagram or social media. It is kind of like a capsule, and it's big. They had to pack food in there and all supplies. So it's actually on display on the street. Like, this is the thing that went around the world, which is incredible. And then we got to learn more about that inside the exhibit. So highly recommend that museum. I think it's very well done. That evening, we took the train back to Morges. I know I'm not saying it right. And the train happened to be a historical train. We're riding a historic train right now. The car that we took on the way to Château-d'Oex wasn't like this. So I was so surprised when we got in here. Everything is retro. You can see the old upholstery, the carpet, the wood, the items like where you store your hats or your bags. It's really fun. And this is so funny because I actually saw a video recently on social media of someone else who had run that train, but she got to eat on it or something. And I was like, I was there. I know that whole design, because you go in and you feel like you're back in time. When you're riding on the train, you're getting incredible views on both sides, because sometimes the lake is over here, sometimes the lake is over here, and then you're winding through nature and trees. You're seeing really cute architecture. That evening we had dinner at a place called Culture Cafe, which is near the train station. It has some healthy bowls, so I got to have my vegetarian bowls and a matcha latte as well. Oh, all in all, a very nice day. That was our last day in Morges, because the next day we transferred to Biel. Good morning. Today we're taking the train to Biel. So this is a new city we haven't seen yet. We're looking forward to exploring it. It's only a 1-hour train ride, so everything has been really close and easy. When we get there, we're doing a wine tasting. We're supposed to be taking a walk, maybe a boat ride, so we'll see. And we'll also have lunch, and in the evening we'll explore a First Friday event that the city has that is kind of like a festival. Oh, looking forward to it. This was actually, we didn't even go to Biel right away. So we got off the train, and then we took another train to Tuam. And Tuam is very close, but it's not a big city like Biel. It's super small. Here we are about to go to the vineyard and do some wine tasting. It's probably the earliest in the day I've ever done wine tasting, but bring it on. We were there to meet with a woman winemaker named Anne-Marie Shaw, and she has her label. It has her name on the label. She's taken over her family vineyard and has redone the labels, the brandy, and the wines themselves. under her vision.
It's a very light wine, so it's an aperitif wine, so the elder persons drink it from 11 a.m., like really before lunch already, or you take it. It's also the first glass of wine you take after work.
Okay.
So it's a bit like this aperitivo wine.
She was so fascinating to talk to. I admired her so much for what she had done and how she spoke about it, how she was able to articulate her journey and her experience and her connection to wine. She's very intuitive because they are doing, they're trying to create like natural wine, and some of them are natural and some of them are done in a traditional method. So they've been working on that, how to understand the land, how to respond to what the conditions are. And we tried 2 orange wines with her. We tried a white, we tried a red. All were delicious, and we talked about our flavor profiles, what we like, what was surprising to us or new for us or enjoyable for us. So that was a wonderful way to start the day. It's a little early, but that's fine. We're in Switzerland. And after that, we had lunch right on outside at a restaurant, enjoying the local life because a lot of other people that were there having lunch and enjoying their day. Then we went one more town up to Ligertz, and I think we took like a 3-minute train ride just to hop over there. Ligertz, there is a cable car up the hill, and that was one of the reasons we were there, to see that view up the hill, but also it's a place where you can observe the vines. They're growing on terraces up the hill, and they're right there. I mean, you can try. I didn't take anything because I don't do that, but I understand you can pop a little grape in your mouth. That was really beautiful. But as you go higher up, because first we walked up, you get a beautiful view of the lake, and this was a different lake now because in Biel, but still very beautiful. And there was an island in the middle that had a whole legend attached to it. And then we saw an old church up at the top that Suzanne from Accessible Switzerland, Claire and George, said is very popular for weddings. It's so romantic with the historical church, so tiny, and then the view. And then we went up the cable car and we looked at the view up there. We kind of saw, actually, a lot of people live up there. I thought it was going to be some tourist trap viewpoint. No, there was a road up there. There were people getting off with their groceries. So that kind of was different than what I thought. And we came right back down on the cable car, and we got to see the view going down. And it's also accessible as well, because I was hot walking up this hill, and now I get to sit.
I'm standing here at the lake of Biel. So we did a little hiking in the vineyards, and then later on we're going to take the funicular up to the hill. Very enjoyable day. I'm happy to have Catarina with me, and all the best to you.
Now we're on a boat going back to Biel, and here we are.
The afternoon evening was spent in Biel, learning about Biel. We checked into Hotel Elite, which we really enjoyed. This hotel was so comfortable. We had a lot of seating in the room. We had a nice breakfast there, a nice view from the breakfast area. It's high up and it has a terrace. So shout out to Hotel Elite. You were wonderful. That afternoon, kind of evening time, we went out into Biel's old town, and we met up with a local tour guide who was so cool to meet because she has a personal connection to disability and her family that she shared with us. And so that made for a deeper conversation, and I really appreciated it. She took us to First Friday, which is an event that happens on the first Friday of the month, where the old town of Biel comes alive, where all the businesses will put out tables. They'll offer like food and snacks, and they have musicians out there. I think maybe other vendors. So it just becomes like a whole fair market vibe. And so we were able to walk around see the historical town, and also learn about Biel and what it's like. It's more of a working class community. There's a lot of immigrants that have moved there. There's a whole history with watch manufacturing that we were speaking about the companies Rolex and Swatch having manufacturing there for a long time, and what that has meant in the relationship to the town, or the city, I should say, because Biel's a city. It was very active. It was very flat there, and the sidewalk was really smooth and easy to navigate. So I didn't have any issues with accessibility with walking around. We sat at a place called Next to Floor at First Friday. We were there because the guide wanted to show us this place and had a connection to the building. And then they served us this little bit of nuts. And this was like, I think, just an appetizer that they just give out if you order a drink or something. And I tasted these nuts. I was like, oh my gosh, I need to buy these immediately. So before we left, we bought 2 bags of them. They were roasted and they're seasoned. And one of them had rosemary, I believe, and the other one, I don't remember now, but it had like a really good spice on it. When we finished with First Friday, then we had dinner at a restaurant called L'Arcade. In English, I might say L'Arcade. This has small plates and small dishes. So I got to try lots of different things, which is always fun because I never want to commit to just one big dish. Why do that when I can have 5 and eat more? And then that was it. That was our one night in Biel. So stay tuned for the next video where we will finish our trip with Accessible Switzerland, Claire and George, and share all the things that we do in our next destination, a very, very cool place in Switzerland called Basel. If you want to see more videos on inclusive and accessible travel, subscribe to Blindish Latina and let me know all your questions in the comments, and I will see you next time.